Mhm.
This is crazy. Iran just rejected Trump. This is literally breaking news. We had just started learning about this. Apparently, last week, Trump had sent out a letter to Iran. They took about 72 hours to respond. They decided to respond on Sunday night and they rejected him. They rejected him.
Yeah, man. Look, this should tell you guys like what's really happening. Like everything's just turning on America. What comes in my head when Iranian president was talking and saying like, hey, uh, he's trying to bully us, basically, right?
Talking about Trump.
It's yeah, talking about Trump. Just think, America never had war at the in their land. It's always been in Iran. It's always been Iraq. It's always been away from America.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. So, just think about that. Just really think about that. Just think about that. All these countries just coming against America.
This is a bad time to for him to, because we have to have the full context here. It's not enough to talk about this specific news. We know that there's currently a trade war that's happening between the US,
Hmm.
Canada, Mexico, China, and potentially India, which they're not showing a lot on Western media. Okay, we also know leading up to this event that's happening right now in real time that the European Union and the US are not cool like they used to be. They're not two peas in a pod. It's kind of standoffish. And so, on top of
Hmm.
that, Trump, when you listen to him, we listened to what he was saying last night, and he was essentially saying, and it's so you really have to listen closely to what he says and read and listen under the lines, because he'll say one thing and say, hey, I'm negotiating, I want to be peaceful. But if you have any historical context and you know like what's happening geopolitically, you know what has happened in World War II and III, what he was actually saying is, I'm checking these boxes off the list so that if I do want to nuke them, if I do want to send troops on the ground, I can look at this paper and say, hey, I warned y'all and said I was trying to negotiate peaceful talks. Now, Iran obviously knows this. They're not idiots, they're not stupid people. They know that they have been sanctioned over the past couple years drastically. That did not kill them, of course, did not crush them. And China as well, because China just last week, like we told y'all, said, we're ready for any war. You want to do a trade war, a physical war, any war you want to do, we're ready. And so Iran saw, or they said they didn't even receive the letter from Trump. Trump said he sent the letter. He said
Hmm.
he sent a negotiation letter. Iran reported just hours ago, they said they didn't get any letter, and his demands that he has put in the Oval Office on the international television, they're crazy demands. Who is going to do that? Essentially, what Trump wants Iran to do is to stop their arms race of nuclear weapons, to give anything they have to the US, and to just basically be crippled. Like any policies and deals that the US had with Iran prior to 2018, when he came in, he abolished those deals. It's 2025, and now he's taking a step further. And he gave an ultimatum. He said, you can either negotiate with us or we can use military force. That was the ultimatum. And it was on Iran's table to say, okay, which one are we going to choose? Are we going to negotiate? And they chose to reject. They were like, we don't care. We're not taking that. So y'all know Trump doesn't back down.
Yeah, the times are the signs, guys. The signs are the times. However you say it, the
Yeah,
signs
signs
of
of the
time,
times.
signs of the times. Like it's happening, y'all. Like it's really happening. If you know the history of America, you should know what's next. And you got to just think about what like America's going through a lot right now. If it's not inside the country, it's outside the country with different superpowers,
Yeah.
with Russia, with China, with Iran. Um, just over there, it's crazy to think about when you think about the map. America's way over here, and everybody that they're beefing with is over here.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. That's not a good sign. Like they trying to like it's it's really prophesied, guys. Like what's happening right now, what's going to happen, it has to happen. Like we keep saying, and America is gonna be it's not gonna be a good place to be. So we try to come on here to
Mm-hmm.
share these little things with you guys. Like, hey, Hello, like
You see
hello.
what's happening?
Yeah,
It's
this is
heating
really
up.
happening. It's heating up. Like the next thing is not going to be good. It's not going to go back to normal. It's not just going to, like they're going to flip a switch. It's going to be like a snap of a finger,
And I
and
think,
everything's just going to be crazier than what it is right now, this day. Like really.
yeah, it's something that you said, it switches with the snap of a finger, because what they had historically, and we're not Republican or Democrat, but what they had historically accused Biden of is he messed up everything and all these things. But it's like, there's never been more tension against the West, meaning America specifically, than there is right now. Under previous presidents, you didn't have Mexico, Canada, everybody at once looking at America like you're tripping. But these things do have to come to pass, because you have to reap what you sow. That's just a universal law. It's a biblical law. It's reality. And so they have the right person in office in America to bring this full throttle, because you better believe his words when he said. And if y'all didn't look at that, you should look at it. It's just like a 10-minute video. You can take 10 minutes out of the 24 hours in your day to understand what is going to come to America. And he's already said in the video, in the same conversation, he said, I'm thinking about putting a dome over America.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason you would do that is if you're expecting some type of impact, some type of aggression. The way Israel has their Iron Dome, or whatever dome it is, Israel already has theirs. So when, who has thrown the rocket launchers? Hezbollah or whoever, Hamas. Yeah. When they were sending those rockets and different things into Israel, it wouldn't completely penetrate because they have this dome. So Trump is already talking about, I want America to have some type of similar dome like this, because he's basically just cut ties with everybody. And Iran, they don't think it's a joke. They don't think it's funny. And they're not afraid. China's not afraid. Iran and China are allies. And so they are ready for whatever. China said last week they're ready for whatever. Iran said they're not afraid of your intimidation tactics.
Yeah. Man. Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, we're like you. This is what blows my mind. Like really, it's just it's crazy that like once you really step outside of America and you understand these other cultures, these other nations and stuff, you just get a better understanding. It's not like a full understanding. They are preparing. It's not no war with America. They're not planning to go back and forth. That's the thing. They're not planning to go back and forth. When this happened, they're planning to destroy America. Like it wasn't like back then they was trying to hold their own, but they prepared for years, for at least more than 20 years, for a time such as this. So they're not going to be playing around. They're playing chess. Put it like that. If you understand checkers and chess, they're playing chess.
Yeah, they got the right person in office to bring it about, because they're like, look, to them, they're probably happy he's in office, because it does give them a sort of scapegoat. Like, he's threatening us. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and nuke. We can do whatever we want. So let's look at this article by watugademocrat.com. Yeah, we can bring it up. It's called Iran Says It Will Not Negotiate Under the Intimidation of Donald Trump. Okay. Breaking news again. This is just coming out. Iran was not talking about this at first. Trump said he sent a letter. Who knows if it's true? Iran says they didn't get it. I'm not sure who to believe on that part, like whether he sent it or not. Trump went on international news, did a press conference in the Oval Office, told the entire world that he sent a letter to negotiate with Iran. This was over the weekend, okay? And so he did a letter to negotiate with them. And that's what he said, essentially. Iran said they did not receive the letter. So what Americans are hearing is that Iran did not speak back about the letter. So they're thinking, okay, this letter's been out for 72 hours. We're not hearing anything back yet. On Iran's side, they're saying we did not receive any letter. We just saw your press conference and now we're responding. So who knows what the reality is, but we're just giving the news to you like that. Okay, now this article is from today. We're in Mauritius, Africa. We're on this side of the world, same time zones as a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, similar time zones. And so we're getting this information as it's building up. You guys are going to wake up on Monday morning and see it. Iran said Monday it would not negotiate under intimidation after US President Donald Trump sought to ratchet up pressure on Tehran by ending a sanctions waiver that had allowed Iraq to buy electricity from its Shiite neighbor. Iran's mission to the United Nations had indicated Sunday that Tehran might be open to talks aimed at addressing U.S. concerns about the potential militarization of its nuclear program, though not to ending the program completely. But Monday, Iran's top diplomat seemed to slam the door on such discussions, saying Tehran's nuclear program was and always will be entirely peaceful, and so there's no such thing as potential militarization. So there's that. We will not negotiate under pressure and intimidation. We will not even consider it, no matter what the subject may be. This is what Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on the social media platform X. Since returning to the White House in January, Trump has reinstated his policy of exerting maximum pressure against Iran, imposing sweeping sanctions aimed at crushing its oil industry in particular. The U.S. State Department said Sunday the decision not to renew Iraq's sanctions waiver was made to ensure we do not follow Iran to any degree of economic or financial relief. Iran supplies one third of Iraq's gas and electricity, providing Tehran with substantial income. That's huge right now. That's big. So essentially, what Trump and America want to do, because it's not just him, clearly, what America wants to do is make sure that Iran cannot produce for themselves, cannot do business with their neighbors. And like you were saying, America is on the other side of the world. And didn't he just say, we shouldn't be fighting other people's wars and shouldn't be in other people's business? But it more so seems like we should be in other people's business if it's of interest to me. He's like, I don't want to really deal with Ukraine, but I do want to deal with this that's happening in the Middle East.
Yeah. Yeah, think about it, fam. Shalom, shalom. Make sure you like the video. If you are in the chat, I see that we have 8 likes and 23 people in the chat. So make sure you like the video if you appreciate us coming on and sharing this information. But like my wife just said, like it's crazy. It's like I think I said this the other day. I was like, man, Trump is literally making people be bipolar. Like they're first one minute they dislike Trump, the next minute they love Trump. The next minute they dislike Trump, the next minute they love Trump. Like that's what it's coming down to. So you really got to choose and pick which side that you're going to be on. When I'm saying which side that you're going to be on, think about who didn't when he was inaugurated, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't put his hand on the Bible. It's out there. It's out there.
We watched it live. Like, what is he
Yeah,
doing?
we was watching it live, and even news channels talked about it too. So, are you going to believe his word over the Most High's word? That's what it comes down to. The Most High's word is coming to pass, and if you are spiritually aware of what's going on, especially this new year that is coming up, it's going to be a pivotal time to not be in America, like really. But if you are, safety be with you, everything will work out. But it's just better to be outside of America. Really, it's just better to be outside of America. And we've been saying this for the past 5 years. We've been trying to come on here to prepare people's mind, to prepare people's, just I guess spirit in a way, because just sharing our experience, sharing our testimonies for our community, because this is big. Like we are literally living in the last days, and stuff like this that comes out, of course, is big news. But don't be too distracted, too distracted by this stuff, and don't be just don't be not involved in your word. Put it like that. Make sure you be in your word every day. because stuff like this that comes out is coming out in the physical. It's not it's been in the spiritual. The stuff that's happening right now is coming to the physical. So the most important thing is to realize the times that we're in and stand true to the word that the Most High instructed you with. Like really, because it's that time, y'all. It's not time to play around. It's time to get this information, take it, swallow it, and keep moving forward. Because if you're not moving forward, you're just going to be stuck. You're just going to be sitting on your hands and your feet.
Yeah, there's
You're going to
never
be
been a
stuck.
better time to leave the West. And when we look at the countries that are going to be safe, the areas of the world, they're obviously going to be countries like New Zealand, islands like the one we're in, Mauritius, areas south of the equator, the southern hemisphere, North Africa, obviously not. Some parts of East and West Africa can even get some of this tumult because the thing is, when a nuke goes off, you guys should check this out as well. When a nuke goes off, it's not just that particular area that's impacted, but it blasts and the radiation causes detriment to everywhere. And so if Iran or if America first decided, I'm going to put a nuke, do you think Russia, do you think China, do you think Iran would not nuke back? But this is happening in proximity to the Middle East, to Iran, right? And so you have to think about, okay, where's that stuff going to travel? Obviously, it's going to impact Europe. It's clearly going to impact Northern Africa. It could impact West and Eastern Africa. And so that's why we say come to the Southern Hemisphere, below the equator, like the tip of Southern Africa, go down there, go to a country like Mauritius, go to New Zealand, go to the Solomon Islands. There are islands on the face of the earth that they're saying if nuclear winter does occur, then these would be the only places that could have a chance of surviving, because these weapons are so diabolical that if they just shoot off one or two, it's like most of humanity, as prophesied in the Bible, 2/3 of humanity is not even going to make it. The Most High says, seal the 1/3, they're not going to be touched. But the rest of the people, the rest of the 2/3 of the world, how do you think that type of destruction happens if not a nuclear bomb? When I look at prophecy and I see that written out and I look at documentaries on nuclear bombs, it's like, alrighty then. That's one of the reasons we chose Mauritius, Africa. And on this topic, if you are someone that's starting to understand this and discern these things and you're ready to get the ball going and to move, check out the links in the description. We're doing a summit this weekend with Ashley in Africa, the Africa Investors Summit, to show people how to choose the right country, how to exit Babylon as soon as possible. Check out the links in the description. And it's such a good thing that it's happening right around this timeline. Obviously, nobody knew that Iran was going to come out and say this at the top of the week. But at the same time, it's great that it's in alignment so that you can understand what's going on in the earth and see, okay, let me diversify and get some other options. Because the two main hotspots that you don't want to be in, the Middle East, and I'll add three, the Middle East, Europe, and America, because they're going to be at each other's necks. They have like target practice. They're like target practice, red zones to each other. And so it's like, if you are anywhere near those places, y'all better look up those nuclear documentaries. I'll put it like that. Yeah. Y'all better look that stuff up. Like, this stuff is no joke. So when we literally say that the Most High is calling people out, it can literally be to save your life. If something like that goes off, there's not going to be many survivors. And the survivors that do survive later starve because of the nuclear impact in America and the Middle East. So we just need to be really sober-minded about these prophecies that the Most High has put in the scriptures and already told us 2/3 of the earth is going to perish. If he's already told us that these things are going to happen, the next logical response would be like, okay, I'm reading Revelations 12 through 18. I'm reading Revelations, whatever chapters you're reading, but you can start with 12 through 18. You're reading those and you're like, oh, that's a lot of destruction. So how's that going to happen? And I used to, when I was in Ohio, my mother and I would be doing a Bible study. And one of her friends would be like, oh my gosh, y'all are always reading Revelations. I don't like reading that book. And it's like, the ignorance is so bad, because if you don't want to read what's coming, if you don't want to understand the destruction that's coming, then you get caught up in it. If you're not in a land that has fertile soil, what do you think is going to happen in these times? If you're not in a land that has a peaceful and stable government, what do you think it's going to be like when there is no more peace and stability in the world as a whole? These are the things that you have to think about. So we implore you and invite you to look into what's going on, to really ask yourself, and to get away from anybody that does not allow you to receive the prophecy of Yah. When you read Revelations to certain people and they're like, well, we shouldn't read that and focus on doom and gloom.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, this is what's coming.
Yeah, yeah. You got to think. Like, you broke down something with AI yesterday or the other day. What was it? You got to explain that to them, because that's the perfect thing when it comes to the Most High AI.
The perfect analogy. Yeah, we're literally in a time, we're in an existential crisis with AI because humanity is becoming so lazy. I have two stories to tell you about. So first, what he's talking about with the AI, people are becoming so lazy. They don't want to write, they don't want to think. People will literally be on Instagram like, oh my gosh, AI just told me what I should eat for breakfast. And I'm just like, you can't think about what you want to eat. You have to ask a robot what you want to eat for breakfast. It's so bad that we're getting that disconnected from humanity.
Yeah.
Why can I not just sit and think about what I want? Why do I need a robot to tell me that?
Yeah.
I shouldn't need a robot to tell me that. That's odd.
It's really taking your creativity away. And the Most High is the ultimate creator, and He allows you to create too. And if you keep using AI, that's basically, you know, like you gotta use the tools. You gotta use it as a tool. You can't just use it as yourself in a way.
You can't prostitute divinity.
Ooh.
You cannot prostitute divinity. And I just wonder, what the Most High thinks of that. I know what He thinks of that. I'm very clear what He thinks of that. And that's why I speak with conviction, because this stuff is no joke. When you have people that are on the face of the earth that are like, okay, AI, tell me what I should think today, what I should do. People are replacing prayer with let me talk to Chat GPT. And then in the same breath say, well, at least America doesn't have idols. Really? Because you're talking to a robot where you should be talking to the Most High. You're asking a robot, what should I eat? When you should have your own brain to be able to think about what you want to eat. Now I'm a writer, and so from the creativity standpoint, it's so important. But I have another story. I used to work in healthcare, and in healthcare, if you're on like a physical therapy floor, if you're on a rehab, you would have to educate the patient and tell them, you need to do these exercises. You have to do range of motion, which is like moving your wrist around, moving your ankle around, especially if you're someone who had suffered a stroke. Okay. And so you'd have to do that, and you would be very stern with the patients and tell them, if you do not do this range of motion, you will not have control over your hand anymore. Your hand will go cripple and it won't be able to move. So we have to do this range of motion. I know you may not feel that well. I know you may not want to do it right now, but it needs to be done, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so. We need to slowly do this range of motion so that you can actually move your hand by yourself. The same thing spiritually is happening today, where people do not want to think for themselves. People do not want to understand prophecy for themselves. People want to be hyper dependent on everything else instead of trusting what the Most High put in them. And so it's literally saying, like, your hand could go stiff and crippled, your right hand, and you're just like, you know what, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. Eventually you lose power over that extremity, your limb, you lose power over it. And so it comes to a place where in the West, especially, you don't have this issue as much in Africa, because Africa is very much still centered on humanity. And they just have this common sense that a lot of Westerners don't have, to be quite honest. If you're in Africa, you know what I mean. But it's coming to the point where Westerners are going to have no autonomy. A lot of Westerners already do not want to have autonomy, do not want to look and say, okay, let me look at this set of information and see what I can draw from, instead of just closing my eyes and being like, pretending it's not real. Whether you want to accept it or not, a nuke can go off tomorrow, whether you like it or not. So it's more important, and it would behoove you and benefit your entire lineage, to be quite honest, to look at these documentaries and say, okay, what can I slowly start to do? Because there's no amount of preparation. This is the realization we came to in Ohio. We used to, and what were those pills? Those nuclear proof pills. Used to stack food, have cans and this and that. Yeah. And it hit us like, when you're in America, no amount of preparation matters. It doesn't matter because the entire society is aligned for decimation, as you can see. So it's better to just be somewhere else to learn the lay of the land, to learn how to live like a local, to have local connections, to be in a fertile place that is more human centered than to be in a society that is literally being destroyed from the inside out and the outside in. And again, California, newsflash, just had another 4.1 earthquake just this morning,
Yeah,
nighttime for you guys. So times are heating up. Ohio, there was an airplane that was supposed to go to Springfield, Ohio. It crashed in Pennsylvania. It's like, what's happening in America right now?
yeah,
What has
it's
been
too
happening
much.
in America over the past 5 years?
Yeah, you gotta think about the people that came in the border too. It was news out, right? It was news saying, hey, most of these people are like young, single Chinese men and stuff like that.
Mm,
That that was real. That was the news that was
that
out.
happened.
That happened. You
They
know,
didn't deport the Chinese ones.
look, I'm telling you, they have a lot of control in America that a lot of people don't understand. Even with the train derailments and stuff, um, who knows about the airplanes and stuff like that? But when they get somewhere, as we see, just being in different countries and stuff, when we see these nations come to visit and be tourists, they stick together. Like literally, they take big old buses and they stick together. And I know for sure they ain't like all family, like brothers and sisters and stuff. No, they probably like neighbors and cousins and stuff like that. But they stick together. So just think about in America, they probably got, man, a whole plan that people just don't realize what's about to happen. Like it's not your neighbor that you got to worry about now. Like it's so much more. It's so much more.
What do you mean by that?
Like it's other nations now that you will never
Mm,
see. Like you will never see that
not your
because
American
yeah,
neighbor.
not your American neighbor. Like I'm telling you, because even we see it. Like we go out, we see these other nations. And so I'm not trying to point at any specific nation, but there's nations that stick together and they disappear together, and they come out, pop out together, they disappear together. So it's the same thing that's happening in America too. You'll never think that you know people are there that deep, but people are very deep in America, these other nations. So you just gotta, you really gotta not be too entertained, put it like that, because
Mm.
entertainment is equal to hostage. You're a hostage when you
Mm.
being entertained.
Shout out to Shattered Paradise. That's
Yeah, watch Shattered Paradise too. They be
mm,
coming out. I be stuck. I be looking like, oh man, yeah, Shattered Paradise. Shout out to
mm,
Shattered Paradise. But entertainment is just like everybody's just hostage in America.
yeah,
That's
because
just
they
what
were
it is.
specifically talking about Kendrick Lamar.
I think it was the podcast that we saw. The guy. That's what I got it from the podcast
I don't know what you're talking about. What
with
podcast?
Jack. What's her name? Not Jackie. Tiffany. Um,
Oh, it was that podcast? I
yeah,
thought it was Shattered Paradise.
yeah, that too. But shout out Shattered
Okay,
Paradise.
okay,
But
okay.
yeah,
Tiffany Buckner. We're watching her pod. Yeah, another great look. There should only be a few types of content you're watching:
yeah. But they
content
saying
that feeds your
entertainment
spirit,
hostage.
content that helps your legacy, your business, content that helps your family. If it's not in those three buckets, why are you doing it?
Yeah,
We only watch stuff that feeds our spirit, and we're very careful about who we even listen to at that. Content that helps to further our business and our legacy, content that helps our family.
yeah.
That's it.
Because
You
every
got to be
time,
on code in World
man,
War III.
every time we try to
Gonna be
listen
the last few humans on the earth.
to other people, just be so confusing. Be like, I'm confused with what they keep saying the two separate things, but that's besides the point. But yeah, like it's really time, family. Like it's time to like buckle down to really know what is your foundation, what's very very important to you.
Yeah, and if you're somebody that is into like reading prophecy, drop a comment down below because it's super important that people do that. I find that most people find it uncomfortable. Most people are like, I don't want to read Revelations because if you would just honestly, if you were somebody that did not even know the Bible, if you only read Revelations and really soaked it in, you would be much further than quote unquote Christians and religious people who want to pretend that Revelations is not going to come to pass and is not coming to pass right now. Literally. When Iran rejects Trump on an international stage and Trump is hot headed as he is, everything that he said he would do, he's done with the quickness.
Yeah, that's why I said,
He
look,
doesn't delay, y'all.
are you gonna believe his word? Because he's doing what he said. Or are you gonna believe the Most High's word? Like it's very you're like starting to it's getting more deeper to choose who you gonna serve this day. Like really.
Yeah, because Trump already said, he told them on the international stage, saying to Iran, you can choose to negotiate this contract or we're going to escalate militarily. Very generic term. So it's like, what do you mean you're going to escalate militarily? Does that mean you're going to send nukes? Does that mean you're sending troops? Does that mean you're sending missiles? Then the next logical question has to be, okay, if the West America does that and just funds it by themselves because they're not cool with the EU like that, European Union, what are China and North Korea going to say? Because remember, you're dealing with allied nations. This is how war becomes world war. It's a tag team. So when you hit one, you hit the others. Again, China last week already told everybody. They already said, we're ready for whatever war, if it's a trade war or a physical war. Do what you want, do what you must, but we're not afraid. So Iran's not going back down either. So you have a lot of diplomatic people who are not going to back down. Mm-hmm. And so it would be wise to say, okay, let me go ahead and exit out of here. Let me proceed to the southern hemisphere. North Africa, I'm sure it's a beautiful place. There's places in Northeast Africa extremely beautiful. But when we're talking about revelations, where John the Revelator could have potentially seen a nuclear bomb go off and decimate 2/3 of humanity, there's only a few places on the face of the planet where you can survive something like that. Mm-hmm. Countries like South Africa, Mauritius, New Zealand, Mountains, the Solomon Islands, Vanuatu. If it's not that, it's getting impacted by the fallout. Again, meaning watch these documentaries, just look it up. It takes 5 seconds to Google nuclear World War III documentary simulation. This isn't fear mongering when you have countries like Iran saying, I'm rejecting this. When you have podcasters coming out that typically talk about business saying we need to warn humanity that a lot of people are on the brink of extinction. That's just from a worldly standpoint. Now we add in the fact that Revelations, unless you don't believe the Bible, that's your business. But now we have Revelations that literally, and I think I'm gonna go reread it today. I've probably read Revelations 20 times in the past 5 to 10 years. Okay. But I'm gonna go reread it today because when it literally says, and John the Revelator is just coming with what he can describe because he's 100,000, a few thousand years behind us, right? So he can't say this is a nuclear warhead, but he can say, I see this huge thing that looks like some type of scorpion. Then I see this type of crazy cloud. See, oh my gosh, 2/3 of humanity just died. Can you imagine? This man is way back. Like he's like, how the heck does that type of destruction happen? He's confused, but he's like, I'm gonna still write the prophecy down. I guess it's for some generations after me. But when we read it, it makes sense. When we read it, it's like, oh shoot. If you don't believe me in the Bible where it says 2/3 of the earth would not make it, that's what it said. Now, how can that happen unless it's something like nuclear war? How does that just poof? Yeah. Because you got 7 billion, 8 million people, or sorry, 7 billion, 8 billion people on the earth. And so you say, okay, He's obviously destroying some of the northern territories, some of these different oppressors and things like that. He's given a level of protection to the southern hemisphere, and some of the, you have Afro Australians, Afro Indians, you have Afro Polynesians, all these people, the indigenous of the earth, Afro melanated people scattered as it was prophesied to the ends of the earth, that happen to be in safe places where it's like, hey, I scattered them, but this is actually for your safety because y'all gonna be the safest ones in the event of a war like that. Y'all gonna be the safest ones living on an island, living somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa. You'll be the safest ones. And we happen to live on an island that doubles as having mountains as well. We
Mountains
didn't even know that.
everywhere. Yeah.
When we were coming, we had no idea.
We didn't even know about this island. Let's say a year and a half ago.
No, barely.
Year and a half. Look, that's how the Most High be working. He tell us one thing, and we do it.
Yeah, no
We do it.
questions.
So
We ain't got all the answers,
look,
but he does.
he'll let you know. Like if it's not for you, it's not gonna be for you. Say, oh well, okay, man. I thought this. I thought, come on, man. I thought we was about to do this, but he like, nope, cut that off.
Divert over here.
Go this way, and it's like, oh, okay, you see now.
Yeah,
You can see.
that's it.
Like it's just really coming down to a time where you gotta be focused. You really gotta be focused. Like especially this next week, I feel something about to happen, and it could be a good thing. It could be a bad. It could be a good thing, and I hope it's not a bad thing. Put it like that. I'm really hoping that
It's probably both.
it's going. Yeah, because it's been like that. It's been like
both.
that.
It's like boom.
Yeah, but you got to be on the right side. You got
Yeah.
to be on the right side. So it's time is dwindling down. Time is speeding up. Put it like that. Time is speeding up super fast. So you know, like it's
Be in Africa, man.
yeah, just really. And once you come to Africa, you'll see how big it is, like how huge it is,
Mhm.
like how many mountains is here. Like just you would never think about, like you would never see and stuff. Like Africa is huge. Even the island that we're on. I know it looks super small, but this island is
It's
huge.
huge.
When you say island, you think like, oh, it's just like, you know, 30, 40 hour, maybe 2 hours a whole around the whole island. No. This thing is a huge landmass.
Absolutely.
Like it's time, y'all. It's really time. This week is about to be an important week to be in a good position. Really.
Yeah, just
Right.
I mean the entire month, and you can fast track your way to living abroad. It's not something that has to take years. You can fast track your way. You choose a country that's visa free, not on the high corrupt list, on a low corrupt list in Africa. You choose a country that has favorable visas where you can stay 3 to 5 years at a time, 10 years at a time, where you can get citizenship. One of those type of deals. Ghana's a great one for that. One of these types of deals where you can get in and stay, not have to renew every 2 years, not have to put down the unscrupulous surplus amounts of money, where you just get in and you can live your life. Now, once you choose that country the next month, you're going to start running your online consulting business. Why do I say this? Because you need resources in Africa. Before all of these things come to pass, don't be like the lazy servant. Be the diligent servant, where when the Most High came, he said, oh, great, I can get a return back on my investment that I invested in this person. That's not a lazy person. Lazy people don't invest, diligent people do. Wise people that are forward thinking are able to invest. So that's what you do month 2. Month 3, you're going to look back at your analytics, look back at your game plan to exit America, and then you're going to execute based on that plan and continue running your online consulting business abroad, okay? And then you'll be able to, if you want to, purchase property, or if you want to build from scratch. We have loads of experience with just building cabins, okay? And so you have a plethora of things that you can do, but you have to execute. So you have to break it down in a format where you can quickly execute and literally be out of America in the next 90 days or less. It really is simple. It's only not simple when you're over bombarded with fear and confusion. Meaning, when we invest in our firms and invest in our companies, we're so focused, we don't listen. Even when it comes from a marketing standpoint, we don't even do stuff that's out of alignment with our specific trajectory. Been there, done that. If it does not make sense to the specific trajectory we're on, sorry, not going to be available.
Yeah.
Because it's not time to play.
Yeah.
We got to be on code. Y'all got to be on code. The 1/3 remnant of the earth, the last humans that are going to survive are going to be people that are able to make snap decisions like that and leave people behind that are not obedient to the call and that just don't get it. It's too late in the game. Nobody has time to break stuff down that has already been broken down 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. This is only the time for the 1/3 that's able to catch on quick, get it, let's move, let's go, the end.
Yeah. Just do what makes sense. Be consistent in what you do. Like really. Like because a lot of stuff just don't make sense in these days and in these last days, I'm telling you. You really start to think about it like this don't make sense. Like it's making me confused. That's how you know, like, okay, this might not be for me. This might not be of the most high. Do what makes sense, do it simple.
Yeah.
Like you just gotta break it down like that.
And have one counselor out of 1,000. That scripture just came to mind. And I look back even on when we're in business. We were talking about how like we only want to invest in certain business consultants, even in our firm, using the same one over and over again. Why? Have one counselor out of 1,000. If you go to everyone and everybody for attention, help, whatever, you're going to be confused. We were telling the analogy before, it's like you're on a radio station hearing fuzz and not hearing a clear station. You're not hearing the words that should actually be coming because you're too confused. You've asked 50,000 million people. You have 55 counselors out of 1,000. The scripture says have one counselor out of 1,000, one that you consistently invest in, one that consistently invests in you, one counselor out of 1,000. And 1,000's a big number. One counselor out of 1,000, meaning there's so much education in the age of the internet. There's so much this, there's so much that. But once you find something that works, stay on that straight and narrow path. Don't divert. It's not because diversion is a distraction that can end you in situations that you unnecessarily don't need to be in. This is how people end up back in America. Because there's no ability to just focus. People divert, people look this way, that way. Even when we both ran track in school, if you want to win in track, you don't look left or right.
Yeah.
You don't look, because you know if I look left, I could slow down a little. I don't even want to slow down a 0.4 of a second. I'm trying to be at my fastest so I can get to the goal line and win. So it's the same thing. When you're running a track, you don't look to the left or right. Nobody that's good at track looks to the left or right. Just saying. They don't.
That tunnel vision.
They focus on what's ahead of them and they run aggressive as fast as they can. Their arms are in the right form, their legs in the right form. They're shifting as quickly as possible. They're not looking to who's doing what over there. Don't care if somebody fell back there. Don't care whoever dropped the baton on the other team. Who cares? I got to get to the finish line because I need to win.
Yeah.
We ran track. I just thought about that. Like that's another thing that possibly shapes the way that we think and view life. Some of the sports that we were into in our younger days, in high school, middle school. That has a big impact. When you can get into a sport like that and you're consistently doing it year over year, you're seeing yourself, you may go to states, you may go to regionals, you may go to whatever it is, you're getting these ribbons because you've been invested in this specific area for years, even when it was hard. Maybe you tore a muscle. That didn't mean you quit the whole track team. Maybe you just sit out, you just ice your muscle real quick. You'll be all right. Get back up next time. Maybe you fall and trip over a hurdle. That's fine. That don't mean you never go back to the game. That don't mean you never go back to the race. You got to have some type of stability and tenacity about you in the last days. You're going to get caught up.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, y'all. This is supposed to be short, but y'all know I love storytelling. I think I'm gonna write a blog about that. That was a good analogy for track. I used to love track.
that 400.
I
Look,
love track. Oh, I hated
look,
that.
if you know, look, well, you gotta stop talking because
That's
I
your
know.
lane. I'm 100
This
short sprint.
look, it's time for the dogs to come out. It's time for those 400 runners to come out. It's time. It's time to have that tunnel vision, that 4x4. You know, those when the dogs come out. Those when the
Ooh,
dogs come
yeah.
out. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that 4x4, that's no joke.
Yeah, he was talking about it. I remember this one race.
Ooh.
Man, I think it was like Columbus Academy.
Okay.
We was racing.
Okay.
And
They were at Hannah, right?
I was a third leg. I think
Okay.
something like that. I was a third leg.
That was an important
This
leg.
my first time. I think I was a sophomore in high school. I was a third leg in a 4x4.
Mm-hmm.
My first time having this tunnel vision, like
Mm.
literally like this. Like I couldn't see anything. It was like a like blur. It was blur all around me. All I can see is this guy in front of me, and I passed him. He passed me. I passed him. He passed me, and it was just like I think I ran my fastest time. It was like a 47 or something like that. The coach was amazed, and I'm like, man, okay, now I get it. Now I get this tunnel vision. When people say you gotta have that tunnel vision, now I get it.
Yeah.
Like, and now I get when they say, yeah, the dogs come out in the 400. Like,
wow.
yeah, 4x4.
Wow.
That's the race to be in.
Yeah, that's good. That's legitimately how you have to view life. Shout out to track and field. Great sport.
Yeah,
Great sport. Life lessons from track and field.
exactly.
That's good. Tunnel vision, like, and believing in yourself. Like, just because somebody was in front of you, didn't just fall away and be like, "Well, I'll never win."
Yeah.
And be like, you didn't count yourself out. You weren't like, "Well, he's too far ahead of me." You focused.
Yeah, because he was far ahead of me.
So you believe that you could still win even with him being further ahead.
Yeah, that was we had that was our rival. That was our rival.
Academy.
So yeah,
they were in Gahanna though, right?
Yeah, they always used to beat us and stuff.
Yeah.
But sophomore, junior, senior year, nope, no more.
Wow.
That's when we came.
That's good.
We kept going to states.
That's good.
But yeah, all praise.
Log on that. That's good.
All praise to the Most High. You know, just be diligent. Make sure you just stay focused. Have that tunnel vision. Make sure you know what is important to you and the next generation after you. Make sure that you know you don't be too entertained, so you won't be hostage. You won't be held in that entertainment. You know, you gotta know what's very, very important to you, because it's not time to play around. It's not time to sit on your hands. It's not time to, you know, be tap dancing and stuff. Just tap dancing around. You got to start. You know, it's time to, you know, run this marathon, because it's way bigger than you. It's way bigger than us. It's way bigger than what I'm saying right now. And I know I know it sounds so like generic, but it is bigger than what we're saying right now. Like, you really got to think about it. And the stuff that if you haven't watched The Grab, go watch The Grab on Hulu.
We keep saying it,
because that's like, man, we might watch it today again.
Yeah,
because it's deep.
Revelations, The Grab, we had everything, because
it's deep. Yeah. It's deep. Like, it's deep, and it's just gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. It's not gonna get better. Mm-hmm. Especially what's happening in America right now. America's literally, put it like this. So remember Gianna? She hit her eye, so she put a Band-Aid on her eye, and it was very sticky, right? And she was trying to take it off. She was crying. It was super sticky, right? So what's the best way to just take a Band-Aid off? Just to just hurry up and do it. You don't want to do it slow, because it's gonna hurt worse
for a longer amount of time.
So basically, that's what America's like. That's what's happening in America right now. The Band-Aid is getting pulled off very slow, and all this stuff is it's going to be painful. And once it's off, it's just going to be even more chaos. So you gotta prepare your spirit. You gotta prepare your mind, and prepare your body. Since we've been talking about this track and field, go for a run, go for a walk, get your health right. Because
that's another part.
Yeah,
that's a big piece of it too.
Yeah, it's time, y'all.
And understand that there are solutions. Like I was just talking to a client last night in the freelance writing 12-week program, And she's like, hey, I decided to just go ahead and apply for my passport. And it came within 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard of. Her passport came within 10 days. Like she just felt in the spirit. She was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and get this passport in case I need to jump ship. She's working on her freelance writing, and it's a horrible time for her. Let me tell you why. She just lost both of her parents in the past 2 years. One she lost in October. And so she honestly has great excuses to be like, I just can't do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't. She's like, no, I need to show up for myself. I have to invest in myself. I have to invest in the lineage that's going to come after me. I need to survive this. I need to go ahead and diversify and see, okay, I can start my freelance writing. I can start my business. Then I'm going to be able to move to Mauritius and get the digital nomad visa or the self-employed entrepreneur visa. She literally has the perfect situation to be able to literally say, you know what, I really can't do this. But she came and said, yeah, I didn't finish all the homework the way that you told me to, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I'm working through this. The best thing that you can do in difficult times, if it's grief, if it's anything else, is to write and to keep going. This new age doctrine, this new age therapist doctrine of, oh, just sit forever. That's how you get in a cycle of depression.
Mm-hmm.
That's not biblical, to just sit and do nothing. It's just not. Every great person that was in the scriptures, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, King David, Yahusha, these are people that took action. They didn't just sit around and wait. Yes, you may have things going on in your life, but they can distract you from what you need to accomplish, because some blessings are time sensitive. Some blessings will not be available if you wait another 60 days, if you wait another 90 days. This is the spiritual principle of reaping and sowing. There are seasons to plant tomatoes. Right now, when we look outside, there's flowers coming up on all the trees. It's springtime here. You can see all these flowers, but guess what? 6 months from now, it's going to be like the dry season, winter. It's going to be a little more chilly, and these flowers won't be on the trees. That's time sensitive. That's seasonal. That blessing is seasonal. And so you have to understand also from a spiritual perspective, which should dictate everything you do in life, in business, marriage, family, everything, friends, whatever. You need to understand the seasons that you're in. If you know you're in a growth season, in a blessing season, that doesn't mean just sit and don't do anything and just relish. That means, okay, great, continue, invest more, work harder, do whatever needs to be done, connect with the right people when you're in a blessed season to multiply the blessed season. Because Yahuwah is all about multiplication. When he was feeding the masses of people, thousands of people, with 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish, he multiplied that. Multiplication. That's an important principle. That's an abundant heavenly principle. Multiplication. How can I take what I have, take inventory, use what I have right now and multiply it? That's what a lot of people need to be asking.
Yeah. I think that's good. Good.
Yep. That's it, y'all, for this video. Shalom, shalom. Be blessed. Endure to the end.
Yeah, shalom, family. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like the video if you haven't. We'll sit right here until somebody like it. At least one person.
And stay on the narrow path. Don't look right, don't look left, don't look back, don't twist around. Just like track, be focused, get to that finish line.
Yes. Shalom, Harold Brooks. Shalom. We got the same name. Well, not the last name, but first
Harold.
name. Now you guys know. No, it's crazy. I actually met a little boy named Harold.
Yeah, in Tanzania.
Yeah.
That is funny. That's very rare.
Yeah. Okay. Shalom, shalom, family. Thanks for tuning in.